How's it going, everyone? Vince here with On to the Next podcast. This is episode 3, and I'm really excited about this episode. I get to talk to one of my good friends, Ace Young. You know him from American Idol, from his time on Broadway. I know him because he's just a really good guy, and I can't wait for you guys to listen to this one. This is On to the Next.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my cloth, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my cloth, they tugging it.
Did you see it?
When the New York breeze hits the Broadway lights, I can see your face from the rocking flight. From the DC rise to the Colorado skies, find your love in the California sunset blue. Yes, sir. I got you in my studio.
Didn't think that was gonna happen.
Man, you know it's a good song when it's been 20 years and I still remember it.
Oh my goodness, man. Has it been that long?
Maybe longer.
I know. That's crazy, man. Ace.
How are you, Vince?
Stranger danger. What's up, man? Dude, it's been a while.
It's been a lifetime, man.
It has, literally.
How are you?
My kid's lifetime.
All my foster animals.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, man. Man, I'm loving your background there, man. I'm sure you have a lot of stories on that wall.
I have actually stories on every wall. So every single wall, even the ceiling has stuff because there wasn't enough room for all my stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like the tchotchkes in the studio because that's kind of what grabs you down to whatever you need for inspiration of whatever age you need to go back in your own life. And I have everything back to age 2 in this room.
Well, we're going to take it back there, man. Because I'm really excited about this because I started this podcast because On to the Next was, for me, there's these pivotal moments in my life that people either influence or inspired a part of my life, part of my journey. And dude, you were such a big part of that. And what you brought in that moment in my life and what it meant, man. It was such a great period in my life. And I know we always say like, oh, it's you kind of lose connection and everything. But with people like you, I've always felt like there's always been a connection. I felt like I know that he's not forgotten about me because I know you have friends that you're that kind of guy where you still hang out with the guys that you were in elementary school with. And that's what I love about you, man.
Most definitely. I have friends back to being in diapers. I literally have 3 friends that we grew up in. We were in a baby co-op, so our parents could take a week off and do a date night. And they just drop all the kids in one spot. And then 3 of the parents' sets would go out and have their date night. I'm still friends with those guys, still friends with you. And that's part of my life mantra is being the 5th son. I learned real quick that my needs weren't something that anyone else was going to have time to take care of. So I really had to find like my comfort within me just to be me and be in a room where I had to figure out what I'm allowed to do, what I'm allowed to say, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to say. And when you and I met, we were at this pinnacle point in both our lives where I would say our wings came out.
Yeah.
Because we were in the teaching method of our parents taught us. They inspired us. The world taught us and inspired us. We had lived in the world for a minute, just like put our feet in it on our own. But this was the first time where we had to let our wings out to finally realize we belong everywhere we are. We don't know why we're there.
Yeah.
But you belong everywhere you are.
Well said, man.
And if you respect that, you don't forget anything and you're not a needy friend like going, Vince, you got to talk to me just so I know you care about me, man. You got to talk to me. Reach out, man, because you got kids. You got a life. I know you got things you're doing, and if you need me, you're going to hit me. That's what it is.
And I know, man, you've had a an amazing adventure and a journey in your life, and man, I it's been exciting, and it's like I've been proud to see you taking the journeys that you have. And I want to talk, everybody, this is Ace Young, of course. You see it right there. I mean, the journey you had on, of course, American Idol. A
Yeah,
lot of
that
people know you by that, but there's a lot of other things that you've done that people know you for. And I mean, I know you for just us meeting each other, and we have that common ground of just music, man. And it was so pure when we came together. Like you said, it was just where we were. I was just getting done with I was with a group, Christian industry group, God's New Creation,
Mhm.
with a couple friends, and I just kind of went out on my own. And when I was trying to kind of find where I fit in as far as music and everything goes. And when I met you, man, it was like, man, this is great, because I always felt like when I met you, it's like, man, there's other people out there that have like the same mindset, the same vision, the same I guess where you want to go with your music and where you want to take it and how you want to have it affect other people.
And
Um,
we're feeler writers. So the nice thing about both you and me is we don't take offense when someone comes up with a new idea because it's in the world, right? All the ideas are
yeah,
available. It's a running river all the time. If you just go, okay, let me get out of myself and realize what emotions go with this. Like you and I were feeler writers. So we never took offense. We would actually get excited if we felt a new emotion come on for a bridge opportunity. We'd be like,
yeah,
oh, dude, this journey can now go here. And we saw it as an elevation. We saw it as like, I like to say this one analogy of two lighters. And when you take two lighters that can run themselves perfectly, they're going to give you a light that's about an inch high.
hmm,
But the minute you put them together, they don't go twice as high. They go 4 times as high. It's a
yeah,
multiply. Literally, they have more oxygen, more fuel, and they go, we're going to be
and
even bigger than we could possibly be. And that's what you and I did feel writing.
dude, you totally fueled my fire at that time, and it was great. It was such a great time, and I want to get to that, but man, you have such an amazing life. Your family, everything that has been a part of you. And when I grew up as a young kid, I grew up kind of seeing my grandfather. They would have those like parties, and they would all be playing instruments in the living room. My
Yeah.
grandfather on guitar, having the accordion players, and like three guys just singing. And I was just sitting consuming this stuff. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. this is
How do you
this
play
is
that chord?
I know.
How do you
And
do it where my hand doesn't hurt?
but I was like, man, I want to do this so bad, and I never really was. I never read music till later on. It was always like here and then put it to work.
Mhm.
How did you? And I kind of know where you. I just kind of wondered how did you like first fall in love with music, because
Ooh.
that's a big part of. I know your family, all your brothers could like sing. I know.
Yeah, everybody was singing, but they all were different genres and different
Yeah.
vibes. So they were
Yep.
singing in their own room with the door shut. One has Beastie Boys on blast. The other one's like Billy Joel. And the other one is going to be like the Eagles, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Like it literally covered so many different things. I was the one that brought in Daft Punk and brought in like the different world when hackers came into the world. I was bringing in soundtracks and playing those because there's something that happens with soundtracks that doesn't happen on albums, and that
Mhm.
is you get a collaboration of a lot of people. An album is like the main leader of the album, but the soundtracks, every single song has a main leader and has a team. So that team of like 30 now is a team of like 120 for the whole soundtrack. So I learned
Yeah.
a lot from listening to soundtracks. But the thing that sparked interest in music for me was more the give back than the receive. Um,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I never had a lot. I never had like this crap on the walls. I never had stuff. I had a little Donald Duck beanie stuffed animal since I was 2, and I have it in the other room in a glass chest, like, just because that's the one thing I had in all
That's who
13
you are.
houses I moved in as a kid. It's like, grab your backpack, grab your Donald, let's go. And
Yeah.
that was me moving. So for me, we had this time in our lives where it was really hard. I didn't realize as a kid, because everything's great as a kid. But my mom and dad were having a hard time. And I remember being in first grade, taking 2 buses to go to school. And I had a pass from the city that gave me lunch. And it had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you had to click each day when you got it. And I was so grateful for that pass, because my parents were like, we have 5 growing men, and this is the smallest one. At 6'1", I'm the tiny one. So literally we have 5 growing men, and we need this thing. So I remember when I went in and had it clicked the first time, another kid made it seem like I was less than. And it was like, it was weird to feel that. But at that moment, I knew that kid for 2 years now. So I turned and I was like, no, 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 this is for me
Yeah.
to survive. Like, I literally have to take 2 buses back home, going through the mall on my own after this for 45 minutes to get home. So like, this is my fuel to get me through the rest of the day and go. So I was so grateful. My parents, in that year, was the first year we created this Christmas gift basket. And we weren't doing well for food. So a can of food for me, I was like, oh, it doesn't have a label. It might be fruit. Fruit was the jam. But when you opened it up and it wasn't fruit, you had to eat it.
Man,
You're like, no.
you don't want to get that block, because that's government cheese, because I've gotten that
Dude,
before.
right? You do, but you'll be in the other room because your farts are gonna be so bad. The
Oh
fans
my
are gonna be
goodness.
facing your
Yeah.
way.
You're
So
like,
in
that
that
government
Christmas,
cheese will do that to you.
dude, that was the first Christmas where I remember we didn't have much, but we were giving this basket full of anything we could get. We had canned food, we have cash, we had toys for the 2 kids that were at this house that didn't have anything. And it was through my mom's church. So I remember we went down the hallway of their place, we set it at the base of their door, and then we ditched. And I had my head out over the hallway looking out to see them receive it when we knocked on the door, but they didn't know we did it, which was kind of awesome, because they went to church with us. So then when we got to church, they didn't feel us going, oh, well, that's pretty sad, like I felt with my little card the first time I got it clicked, right?
Yeah,
So it
man.
was this overwhelming feeling. And I remember in that year, because we would carol, my family would take us and we do 5-part harmonies and Christmas carol to like 5 or 6 different houses.
That's some
So
good
as a first
caroling right
grader,
there. I know that. That's some good caroling right there.
right? It was sick. And if it wasn't, they would make us practice. I mean, Mark
Yeah.
was fighting me for the lead of Silent Night every year, and he got it because he was great.
Yeah.
But that was it. It was more giving than receiving. And I've had a lot of life epiphanies that have happened to give me an overwhelming amount of security and the things I need, by fulfilling other people's dreams.
Yeah.
They have a charge, they have a drive, they already have a fire. I just have to see it, help them guide it. And if there's something I see that's so simple, sometimes it takes me 15 minutes and I'm part of somebody's life forever.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just kind of how it looks at for me. So I don't look at life ever for money. There's no such thing as money. It doesn't
Well,
exist.
yeah. And go ahead.
It's a currency that we hold dear, but no other species on this planet cares. I mean,
Yeah.
dogs will go grab a leaf and bring it up to the ice creams person just because they think paper is worth ice cream. It's not about the actual money that we're holding. So for me, I want to get rid of the anxiety. I want to
Yeah.
get rid of the things that make us uncomfortable so that I can be comfortable, because I mirror people. So when I feel you, I'm going through what you're stirring. So
Yeah.
then I literally go, oh shit, I gotta calm this down, and then we can focus on their dream. We
Yeah.
can dive in on the song. But it's always been about giving than receiving. And when we do it together and you sing together, just like those fires, people have to pay attention. It's
Yeah,
powerful.
man. Growing up as a kid, I talk about this a lot with my buddies. We didn't feel like we were like a lower class kind of, to the outside world, that's how we looked, but to us, because we were in it together. My family, I had love for my family, and I've over the years and there's a time that I'm like, oh, I need to reach success and everything. You think financial, but over the years you're like, no, I just need to have my family, as knowing that the success that I have is knowing my family loves me, I love my family, and they're good stewards of pushing that forward, you know?
Most
And
definitely, and it trickles from the top. You're the
yeah,
lion. You're the lion of
yeah,
the house. So if the lion is truly calm, if the lion can stretch like the kitten stretch and relax and clean himself in the middle of the living room, that is the lion that will create the calm that trickles.
yeah,
And they'll
yeah,
realize
and
it's nothing to do with fiscal things. It's literally how you feel and how you see and perceive.
yeah, and you know, I always felt like you guys as a family very well put together, but people think, oh, if they're a certain way financially, they shouldn't look like a certain way, but it's like, no, that's not the way it is. You
Mhm,
know, we can still be put together, and it doesn't always have to be about that bottom line.
mhm.
We know, and I seen like the love with your family. I mean, it was that's why I gravitated to like wanting to work with you so much, because I seen the heart that you had and the way you carried it into your music. And man, it
I
was
couldn't find a person that worked harder than you, man. You had a work ethic that would go all night, and the next day I'd come record a vocal on a song we wrote the day before. Like it was genius. But that's what it was. We were feeding each other for a target. We had a
yeah.
goal, and that goal had a reason. The reason was to
Mhm.
wake up people to this feeling.
Yeah.
And we did. And then we had a goal so much so that when we had a target, it could have been our show at Elitch's. Like when we were at
Yeah.
Six Flags, this is the day that I met in person, the only time in 44 years, another guy named Ace.
Yeah. I
And
remember
they
that.
opened up for us with that other band. It was
Yep.
amazing. They were badass. They were
Yeah.
incredible. But it's like these are the things. We had a target, we made a set, we did original music.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
man.
amazing, man.
Origin Yeah, yeah, not a lot of people. I was like, it was really cool to see somebody else doing, wanting to create rather than replicate, and I love that about you. And when I left my group, I didn't know if I was gonna find somebody else to work with that way, and I kind of want to go into like what when we met, like some of the things that I got out of working with you is knowing that music can take a next level. I mean, I truly say this. There's vocalists who I've worked with and met throughout my years that I felt, because I always heard music. I never like seen music. I always heard it and felt it and heard melodies. That's how I kind of produce music. And when I heard your voice against a lot of melodies, and I'm like, man, that's a voice that truly needs to be heard, because man, it was such a blessing being able to work with you, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think my time when I left you, um, actually was harder than the time that we had together creatively because then I got into criticism. And it was interesting. I instantly went from Colorado with you to California. And I was, for the first 2 years, I was just trying to survive. I was selling cell phones, living with my grandparents in Santa Clarita Valley. And
Mhm.
I was just trying to pay off my credit cards so I could have an apartment downtown in Hollywood. And
Mhm.
in 2 years, Ryan, my 6'7" brother, came out and he was like, dude, I'll get a job. You'll get a job. We'll get an apartment. For 2 months, he stayed with me and my grandparents. And this was all great because it had our energy. It had our we're building something energy. And then everything went to where this opportunity of Idol happened and I wasn't in competition.
Yeah.
I didn't see it as a competition with the people that were there because the people that were there were afraid. So why would I want to massacre the fearful?
Yeah.
So I became best friends with everybody in my season. And we're still like siblings to this day.
Yeah.
This dude's song took me 15 minutes and it still pays me. And
I
I,
know.
I, I go to the Grammys and they said, Ace, why are you here? I was like, oh, well, my writer name, because I was getting out of the Idol contract, took Brett instead of Ace because that's the middle. And
Yep.
that took 15 minutes. And then they were nice, but they were mean to me when they didn't know why I was there. So I got
Yeah.
to see this other side of like cool hype and real feelers. Like you and I are
Yeah.
feelers. We respect everything. We don't try to genre it and categorize it and lock it into a group. We're like thinking of how we can expand it and maybe do a remix of it in a new realm. If it
Yeah.
inspires, it inspires. Everything I ran in LA was the opposite. It was like naysaying before creating. So I went into studio mode and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write songs. I'm just going to write. And I had some beautiful friendships that I met during that time.
Hmm.
Buddy Alex Doringus came out from Germany, and he came and ended up moving his whole family to California after one day. He and I wrote, and in one day we wrote and recorded 3 demos that all got picked up.
Yeah.
And it was one day. And he literally went back to Germany and he said, I'm leaving Germany, pack your stuff. If I can do that in the States, Germany's going to throw me the work when I leave because I'll be the Hollywood producer. He's been so busy ever since. He's been doing all of these cartoons, scoring everything for DreamWorks. He's got a beautiful
Wow.
facility out in LA, but he's a creator like you and I are. And he was able to just cut through the naysayers and be the producer. Whereas the creator, like an artist, it's hard to do that. So I kept kind of butting my head, even on my first album that I paid 150 grand of my own money on. I did it with Desmond Child, and I loved my time with Desmond, but it wasn't my vision. There were a
Yeah.
couple songs in there that were total Ace stank swag, and I love them, but there was nothing that like, I'm going to just play you one thing from this investment that makes the investment worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. And when, going back to where you started Idol, and I, as you were saying, you weren't like, it wasn't a competition for you. And the crazy thing about it is, when I first seen you on, I'm like, this dude's just it's just Ace being Ace, because it was like you weren't there to, like you said, to defeat anybody. You were there just because this is what you love doing. This is what Ace was meant to do. And you knew that in your heart, you knew that in your mind. Why you went out to LA, why we worked together, is
Mhm.
because you just loved doing what you were doing. And it showed, like it showed on the show. And that's why the success that you had there was just, it wasn't only where you ended up in the competition, like in the top 10 of the competition. It was, like you said, the relationship building that you did outside of the competition. That, dude, that's a success right there.
It lasted
Building.
forever. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
actually it did some funny twists. So the heartache of it, let's say, so you understand my perspective releasing the album. Um,
Yeah.
I had a go ahead by Idol. Nigel, they said I'm performing my first single on the show. So then I'd already invested, already had pre-buyouts for the investment that I did from Walmart and Target, saying they're going to buy 100,000 units, and all of a sudden we're paid back. We get $3 per unit. We're good on our 150, right? So that's a month out from release. 2 weeks from that moment, I get a call. I have TRL lined up. I have Ellen lined up. I have Leno lined up, and I have Idol lined up. I get a call from Nigel, and he says, Ace, I'm so sorry, but you're not allowed to perform on the show.
Mm,
And I'm 150 grand out, and that's the only money I ever had. Like that was the tour
yeah.
money from the Idol tour. I was like, well, this will be my album, which will be my career. That's what you
Yeah.
do. And so I'm 2 weeks out, and I'm not performing on the show. Within one day, Ellen, Leno, and TRL fell out. Now I have no platform to tell anyone other than Apple.com with a video that I had to spend 25 grand on and produce, that to even tell the world, the millions of people, like, yo, music's here. If you want to see
Well,
me, I'll be there.
and the crazy thing about it is it's that far back to where we didn't have the platforms we do now.
Didn't exist.
No TikTok,
Mm-mm.
no Insta, no
Nope.
YouTube, to just
Facebook
say,
Facebook shoved me down because when I did Idol, they only allowed so many people to be like connected to you. So I had to
yeah,
create another account on Facebook, Boulder, Colorado, just so that I could have people friend and communicate. And then that one just hit me and said, "You're not Boulder, Colorado. Send us an ID that says your name is Boulder, Colorado." I was like, "It's partnered with Ace." Like, okay. So they
Well,
took that away and I left.
I mean, just imagine it if that would have been today. If that would have happened today,
I would have just
you
got on Instagram and
would have
said,
been
"Hey
like,
guys,
"Yeah, hey, you know who I am, right? Let's listen to this album, and we're gonna put it out together."
let me play you the
And
stems individually in the studio so you can be inspired like I was making it." This literally is Beck's dad doing a 30-piece orchestra. That was
mm,
a $60,000 day, and he gave me the score and signed it for songs I wrote. Like, it was
yeah,
amazing. But it wasn't for anyone else. I realized that was for me. That moment was the creation moment for me. But
mhm,
me isn't how I thrive. I don't
yeah,
thrive for me. I never have. I thrive for we. I've
yeah.
never been a me thriver. If I'm in the woods, I will just make a fire. I will eat what I need. I will kill what I need to kill to eat, and I will just be. But
So
I just don't do anything for me.
so I had somebody tell me something, and it was I felt like it was a little harsh, but at the same time, I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." They told me, "You," and this was, years later, and they told me, "You haven't made it in the industry because 'cause you're not selfish enough."
Hmm. That's very true to the people that I met in California, and it broke my heart because here let me give you an example. Um, it's not over.
Mhm,
I wrote the chorus in 15 minutes. We're in Cleveland, Ohio, getting ready to go do the Idol tour and walk out on stage. Chris had heard this song already where the chorus was the bridge. Let it
mhm,
out. So he couldn't hear anything but that on the music without it there, right? So Chris is like, "Dude, I've submitted 50 songs to the label. They want me to come up with one more on this thing. I'm going to push play. When it gets to the chorus, just sing whatever you hear." I was like, "Cool." So there was a verse, there was a setup, and then the chorus had nothing. First listen, he put recorder on his laptop because he wanted to capture it.
mhm,
So I was like, "Cool." I sang it note for note the way it is, with the falls the way they are, with the drops the way they are. He sang it back a little different, and I was like, "Do the jazz drops because it'll make it a never-ending thing. It'll never be the same. It's not just a stamp of everything's the same when we say those words, same notes. Make it jazz."
yeah,
And he likes it. He does it. So we send it in. Chris and I are brother best friends at the moment. Still are. But in this moment, we go back to LA, and this song 2 weeks later is out of 50 is picked to be the first single.
yeah,
So they want to know who this other writer is, this Brett Young. So we do a phone call, and here's what happens in LA. So this Wattenberg character, who had already written the song and shopped it for 3 years, never got it picked up without this new chorus. He then says, "Well, I've written the song for this long, so I want 50% of it."
mm,
So this is what I get in California. I wrote the biggest chorus on any song he's ever worked in his life. And it took me 15 minutes, and he gave me 10% of the song
hmm,
because Chris offered me 20 out of his 10%. And then I thought, Chris is going to be working for nothing, singing this song every day for his life. No, you keep it.
man,
But that's LA.
but that's but what Chris did is because of who you are, and I mean, this is what, and we'll get to where you're at now, but I still kinda wanna dive
Let me give you
into.
2 full circles on what we've already covered. You ready?
Okay,
So that we get nominated for the Grammy. We're going to the Grammys. Ryan and I go. I
yeah,
left my jacket in the car because I hadn't put it on yet. So I'm the only fucker at the Grammys with no jacket on. I'm wearing a t-shirt walking down the, the red carpet like you do. And they're like, "Why are you even here?" And it was a great way to start it. I'm sitting next to Wattenberg. So the whole night I'm sitting
whoa,
next to him and his wife, who's Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I'm sitting there next to them, and I am Ace. I am grateful. I am gracious. Thank you for letting me be a part of your creation. And he didn't like that I was grateful. So we haven't talked since. He hasn't wanted to write a song with me. But at the same point, it came full circle, and he had to deal with my love and my gratitude because my love and
yeah,
gratitude is genuine. I don't care about money. I care about even playing field for everyone involved.
yeah,
Money's a joke. Now the other flip, ready? Idol fell out when I wanted to propose to Diana. I had done a year of us every interview with them going, wait, you guys are together? Wait, you guys are together? Wait.
Because she was how many years after?
She was season 3. She was 16.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I met
She
her
was
when she
season
was
3.
22
Yeah, that's
doing
right.
hair as naked hippies in New York on Broadway. So literally, like, she and I get to meet, and I knew I wanted to marry her. But that whole year of doing press with her and having to tell people that we're actually dating was tiring. So I instantly said, what is the highest mountain I could let the world know, let the Idol fans know that I want to be with her? And if she doesn't want to be with me, then I'll just disappear. What's the
Yeah.
highest mountain? So I instantly pulled out the phone, knowing that I lost my performance. Diana lost her performance too on her Dreams album. And I said, Nigel, I want to propose to Diana. I'd like to do it on the finale. What do you think? And he went, hold on. And he went quiet for a minute, came back. I'm going to call you right back. This sounds very interesting. So he calls me right back, tells me yes, but we can't tell Seacrest because he does a show every day and he's going to leak it. So we're just going to say Ace's moment in the breakdown of the show and give you like 4 minutes. So I knew if I could get through that day and she wanted to really be with me, that was the place to do it. And also we would both get our 3-minute performances.
So this
Idol finale. 21 million people saw me propose to her. I was happy she said yes.
You're literally putting all the chips in the middle at this point.
I got nothing to lose.
Yeah, because this is like a next point in your life where it's like, well, this is me moving to this point right now.
Yeah.
And she didn't know.
She had no idea. No. We were promoting her 3 songs that I produced with her for a demo, and we were getting ready to go back to New York. That was the last time second to last time I held a secret. On our bachelorette weekend, we made 36 of her friends in LA go to Vegas. And I surprised her on bachelorette evening. And when they were at the Chip and Dale show, she was blindfolded and I gave her a lap dance.
Nice.
Singing Father Figures. With the Chippendales outfit. And then I went to get tortured by guys.
That's crazy.
But that's it. Like, we're here for a bigger thing. We're not here for naming your name on a bridge. I don't need my name on a bridge. I don't need my name on anything. I don't need credit for a song. I want to give away my music because I want the world to hear it. I would rather it's out, and we are all good on bills and we can have our vegetables in the backyard and we're not worried about it. But the world doesn't seem to work that way. So I try to help other people with their visions. And I had a weird epiphany. I did my first off-Broadway show. And that was about 2.5 years ago in New York. And it's called Vatican Falls. It was a very touchy play. I was on stage for nearly 2 hours. I had about 80 pages of content that I had to lock in, and I had to play 3 different ages of myself in a character that was sexually abused by the Catholic Church. So in 2 weeks of me going to rehearsals, I'm getting yelled at and harassed by the church from 73rd Columbus Circle on the train.
Yeah.
All the way to 34th, where Tank is, where I did the play. I have someone this close, full voice, screaming, "You're an asshole," every day for 2 weeks. What happened is since 2003, Vatican Falls was trying to do an opening, and 15 times the church had shut it down. I didn't care about the church idea of it. I cared about the writer who I met, who was abused by a priest, and his first love was an old man, and he was very confused about his own sexual identification. So I did it for him. And those 2 weeks were the most trying time for me growing up with alpha men, because when someone gets in your space and wants you to react and angrily takes your space, you have a choice to let them exist and react, or not let them exist and lose their flipping mind. I loved it. It was a big challenge for me, and I was dealing with a broken foot, so I wasn't going to run anywhere anytime fast. I couldn't even walk for 5 months. I was in bed. So you look at these opportunities, and they're more opportunities for how we perceive our world from the inside out. It has nothing to do with anyone else you run into. It's how they make you feel. And if they don't make you feel good, your gut tells you that in 5 seconds. You can wait 2 years to realize that it was right. Or you can just go, you know what? I feel like we should get a rain check
Yeah.
and see if they ever come back.
Yep.
Because their gut
Yeah.
said something too.
There's been a lot of those moments, and I feel like people don't take that into account and don't to not act, because there's too many people that act on those moments, that if they were just to step back and say, I'm just gonna let it not exist, and I'm just gonna move forward throughout my time, let
Mhm.
you move forward throughout your anger and your issues, and let me just kind of go around, and that
Because
way I
we don't
don't
know what they went through to get there, right? Like,
that
we
way I
don't know.
don't put this broken foot.
But we don't know what they just went through to get that anger, right? So
Yeah.
we're not the reason for them to have to get rid of it. That's on them.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, I understand the writer is just trying to express and go through his emotions of what he went through at that time. And that's heartbreaking too, when you see somebody, and I'm sure you kind of delved into his story because you had to, because you were playing that role.
yep.
So it
It was
was,
within first day. We're doing our photo shoots, and I'm super sensitive already. Like, I feel what people are bringing, and I feel if they have relatives they're bringing. I feel everything. Like, I
yeah,
feel their ground. I feel their security. He looked at me, and I swear I heard like a spray can go shh, shh, and made a 7 right next to him. And I walked over in between shots. I walked over to him and I went, Frank, what happened when you were 7, man? And he went and froze. He's like, why would you say, of all the things, why would all the words you could have said, why would you just say 7? And right then I realized, like, I hit something that was like a note. Well, 7 was when everything went wrong.
yeah,
7 is when his grandpa hung himself. 7 is when his mom went to the church for relief. 7 is when the church brought her alcohol and took him.
yeah,
And it was his literal first love. His idea of sensual feeling is with an adult man, and he has all these mixed feelings because the body says, man, that feels good. I'm
yeah.
confused. Why is my heart saying it's wrong? Why is my gut saying it's wrong? Why are you making me sign something? Why are you giving my parents money?
Mhm.
So it was a fight, and I saw his fight. And when I felt him, I felt like I still saw a 7-year-old in a 50-year-old body, and I needed him to become 50 for
Yeah,
himself.
yeah.
Like, just simply
So
for himself, and he did. And now he and I are best friends. He came out for a week, and we wrote a whole nother TV show idea, just the two of us chatting. Diana was cooking meals, and we were just doing a writing retreat. It was amazing. So that's
well,
what life's about. It's about the creation. It's
that
not about the credit.
so this is a part, and I so much of what I'm doing of the meaning of on to the next is finding how to pivot past some of those things in
Mm,
your life. And what he was doing was he was trying to pivot and put it out, that way nobody else was going to go through this, kind of giving it exposure to, this is really happening, so please listen to my story, that way it doesn't happen again.
yeah, it doesn't
And
doesn't reoccur.
yeah, and a lot of what I've been doing, the first 2 episodes, I mean, this is a huge, um it's been on my heart for a while, because I see so many people, outside of the stories that are given, that are struggling to make that next turn in their life. And it's funny because I I put this shirt on. I don't know if you've seen three
Yeah,
three geniuses
yeah,
on
they
this
are.
shirt. And I always think about these guys, and I'm like, man, that 3 geniuses who just somehow didn't know how to take that next turn in their life to say, I'm gonna take my art and do it this way, where they took it, and you know, it was like self-destruction for
Yeah,
themselves, you
yeah, they
know?
were they were literally a ticking time bomb.
And and for your friend, he's just trying to not have that self-destruction by taking it into the world and saying, "Hey, this is my way of expressing what is going on, you know, and it pains me, and that's what a lot of this is about is um, delving into in your case, you've had success. There's success and failure,
Mhm.
whether it be what the world perceives as financial success,
Mhm.
but what they don't know, or actual just success in like this is what I wanted to do. This is who I wanted to see the I wanted the world to see my expression. And you did a lot of that on American Idol. I know, man, like me, just man, I was like, man, that's my boy on American Idol, you know, doing his thing. I mean, but there's a lot of people who I mean, you fulfilled their hearts by
Mm.
what you gave to them on American Idol. And
I was trying to be transparent because I
yeah,
knew if I wasn't, I would have been produced however they wanted it, and I
yeah.
was already. Like, there were moments where I remember when I did the Queen week, I remember the way they edited my performance video before I started. They
Mhm,
ended it with Brian May saying, "I wouldn't do that to my song," and that was when that was the first thing he said when I met him at Anaheim Stadium, like when I walked on
mhm.
the stage. And then when we played it, he was like, "This is fucking rad," and he was going crazy, right, having a ball. But they put it at the end right before I start singing. So now as a listener, I'm thinking, "Oh, they didn't like it, so I guess I should maybe not like it before it even starts." Vibe. I remember I heard that, I started singing, and I didn't worry about it because if you freak out, you're giving them what they want for TV and you're gone. So I kind of went through my mode. Monitors work sometimes in the floor, sometimes they don't. Just
So
say it.
this it
And I start singing and I get through it, and I remember they ripped me. All of them ripped me. And I just sat there and kind of took it because I knew that they couldn't hear me in this room because they listened to our sound check so they could write what they were going to say because they couldn't hear me in the live room. Period. So I heard them ripping me based on the video before, and I just took it and I went on with my day, and I was like, you know what? The universe is going to protect me because this is, if they're going to attack me, they're not attacking me. They're going to attack somebody else is going to step up. And the very next day, there's a journal entry from Brian May that says Ace Young misrepresented on Idol. And he goes berserk, like off on him. And he says he'll never be a part of the show again. But then he meets Adam Lambert. And I'm glad he did because I knew Adam at the time. And I was like, Adam,
yeah.
don't go do your solo stuff, man. You could literally go sing with Queen. Go. What are you doing?
Which
Like,
what an amazing portrayal of Freddie that he has
right?
I mean, it's amazing. He
Yeah,
has an
he's got an
amazing voice,
incredible instrument for
but
sure.
so I just wanna go back real quick because so you're saying that Brian was like your version of what you already had set up. He was like, "Man, that is great." And then they're like, "No, no, no, let's do it this way."
So
And you're like, "Whoa, that's not," and it kinda took you for a surprise at that time?
So yeah, so ultimately they took our meeting and they did it backwards. So like when you're a dude and you meet a dude and you're like, "Hey, I want to try this on your song." They'll go, "Ha ha ha, not on my song. Well, let's give it a go and see what you got."
Yeah,
That's how it was, right? And then we jammed and he was like, "This is fucking rad," going crazy.
yeah.
But they took the whole thing and reversed it. So they took our video of us jamming and he's liking it. And then they said they went back to the me wanting to include a Maroon 5 guitar riff. And then he goes, "Not on my song. Ladies and gentlemen, Ace Young." That
Oh
was the
my
order of operation. It
goodness.
was the exact opposite of how we went. It was the backwards journey emotionally of what we went through. So it was interesting what they can do
So
in
everybody
production.
was just uncomfortable on that stage.
Yeah. In
Oh
that
my
moment, everybody was like, "What's going
you
on?"
and you could ask Bree this because when I seen you perform it, I'm like, "Something's wrong." And I knew it, man. I
Oh,
knew it.
dude, they turn
I
off monitors. They test you. They get in your monitors now because of the shit they put us through. At least we got a
man,
band.
and, yeah, man, but overall, I believe that Ace Young, the guy that I met initially to do music with, was portrayed on American Idol. The voice, you brought it,
Mhm.
and what and it wasn't about like you weren't. I didn't see arrogance. I just saw a guy who just loved doing what he's doing, and you brought that to the world. And to me, that's success. And whether financial, whatever the success you had, just like you said, it was just your expression wanting to give back. And I know, but this is the great thing, is those kind of successes, when you're like set to make that pivotal moment in your life, you're on to the next part of your life.
Mhm.
Those, you're able to carry the people that you made relationships with, that they're like, oh, Ace was so good to me, and we're going to continue to work. I mean, even looking at you meeting your wife, I mean, what a beautiful story that is. I mean, that it's like, things, when people think of when they're kids, like, how am I going to propose? Or, I mean, guys know generally, I was
Yeah.
thinking with that image of
I
us
didn't
playing
think I
with
was gonna do it
boards
like
and stuff.
that. It just hit me
But
in the middle of the night. I was like, "Shit, I gotta
dude,
go."
that's some balls right there, man. That- I didn't know. I thought it was all planned out, and
No, only one that
people are
knew was Ryan and my
crazy,
baggy
but
pants.
dude,
So he didn't see the box. And
but
Diana was like, "You really wanna wear those pants?" I was like, "Yeah, MC Hammer's coming back." I'm just tying this box the whole time. The
dude,
crazy thing is I had long hair back then. So
uh,
right before we're going up, so here's the order of that day. That day was not a planned day. Like, talk about winging it. I get to the carpet. Diane and I are going to walk the carpet. The red carpet at the Idol finale has every single radio station across the country there. So you don't have to do a radio tour like a year and a half like I did with my album. You just walk the carpet and say the same thing 30 times and you're done. So we get there. Diana's like, we're doing the carpet. We're going to talk about her three-song demo that we just did. Right when we get to the carpet, I have a producer walking by me with her. I'm with Diana, and he goes, Seacrest wants to see you in the trailer. And I went, okay. And I'm walking with D. Ryan's with me, thankfully. So I'm in the front of Nokia. Seacrest is in an Airstream trailer in the back of Nokia, and there's security everywhere. So I turned to the gentleman that said that. I said, hey, is there security that can get me there? And he goes, yeah. Diana doesn't know this is going on. She's over talking to carpet people. And then go over to Diana. And I have to lie because I need separation from her. So I
yeah,
walked up and I said, my stomach just dropped. And if I don't find it my way to a bathroom, I'm going to die right here. I'll be right back. And I just waited and I didn't blink. And she went, okay, I'll see if anyone has Tums. And she did on the carpet with my brother. She's asking like people with cameras, do you guys have any Tums on you? We know them. We're friends.
yeah.
So I then go to the back. I go into the trailer with Ryan, and Seacrest is sitting down, and he goes, Ace, what is this? And he pulls out the paper, and it says Ace's moment, and it has like 4.5 minutes. I was like, I'm going to propose to Diana. And he froze. Do you have a ring? Yep. I showed it to him. Do you know what you're going to say? Yeah. You want me to say it? Yeah. So I start saying it. We conquered Broadway together. We traveled the world
He made
together.
you get on the knee to like
He started crying.
pretend I'm Diana,
So
and
he starts crying and he goes, hold. Okay. So when we call on you, I'm going to pull you up on stage so we don't see anybody picking their nose behind you in the seats, and just take as long as you want. I was like, cool. So the show is 2 hours long. So we're sitting in there and we're watching the show and nothing's happening and we're readjusting and doing what we're doing. It gets to the break before we're going to go because there's only one more chance of it happening if it's going to happen. So we're at the break before. Diana's hair falls. All the pins came out. She goes, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I was like, no, if you leave and you're in the bathroom and they start the show live, they're not going to let you back in. She goes, doesn't matter. No one's going to see me anyway. I was like, well, in that case, let me fix it. If no one's going to see you. So I'm pinning her hair, going, this is going to be on national TV in like 5 minutes, nervously pinning her hair, just hoping it's to her liking. She turns, it's balanced. Right then we come out of commercial break and he goes, well, we have some other idols here. Taylor Hicks, that was a good season. How you doing? Oh, and same season, Ace, Diana. Right then he goes, why don't you guys come up here? Diana's next to me. And without moving her mouth, she goes, why is he calling us up? I went, I got no fucking idea. Let's just go. Without moving the lips because the camera was right on us, right?
and the Ace I know doesn't get nervous.
No, so I stayed chill with her. We walk up, and then right then it was like wham. The weirdest moment wasn't that I couldn't talk to her. I had to talk in the mic, and the mic had to go out the speaker behind me and had to go over 6,000 people, hit a wall, and come back. So I went, Diana, Diana. It was like the national anthem at the Rockies game with the monitor turned off. I was
And
like, oh no.
so now you're thinking, now my stomach is really dropping.
Dude, I recomposed my whole self, and I'm just sitting there going, now I just got to make sense, and I just don't go ring. And it worked out perfectly. In that moment, we had 3.5 minutes on the show that we were trying to perform on, and we didn't get that opportunity, but we got a real life opportunity, and that was worth so much more.
Oh
and
man.
and it's like that was our thank you. And all night we were partying with production that we loved, just like you would college professors that are good, bad, whatever, because that was our
Yeah.
college experience.
Dude, you guys stole it that night, man.
It was crazy. That was Phil
it was a
Phillips'
great,
year, and Phil
yeah.
Phillips won that year. And we did our fifth USO tour. Phil was on it with us, and he came
You're
up
like,
to
you
me and
guys
goes,
suck.
he was like, "You gonna share the stage with me this time?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't know I was gonna take so much of it from you last time, but I'm happy she said
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
He's a
Yeah.
good dude. But it's that stuff. Like it's not about what you thought it was when you were a kid. It's about truly feeling comfortable on the inside, enjoying the ambiance, creating the ideas that come into your head when they're there, and just don't mess up anybody else's movie or their experience. Like if you're
Yeah.
fully enjoying your experience, everyone's gonna just buzz to you and want to do the same. So I'm more focused on that now. The craziest thing is when I was doing the Broadway play, I went through this whole moment of like self-expression. I've been trying to find reasons for why. And what I found was a lot of my reactions, being the fifth son, were more generational reactions than they were my personal feeling on the things that were happening in my whole life. I had so many
Yeah.
moments where things happened and I would react more fight or flight from a generational reaction that had nothing to do with how I felt about the situation. And I've really, really made sure to nurture myself this last 2 years. When I broke my foot on the middle of the stage playing a bully character in a musical in Chicago and bedridden for a year, I literally
Yeah.
was like, this is not working. So I had
Yeah.
to stop that and I had to go in and figure out how I just feel good on the inside. So every day, like you said earlier, I'm always connected with you because every day I go out and I do my mantra with my feet in the ground. I wish well to all the people I've ever encountered. I wish them their highest potential in everything they encounter. Anyone who's ever seen me or said my name, I wish them all of my energetical support. Like I literally do this every day as a mantra, just so that
Yeah.
I can recondition my own nervous system and stop the generational trauma that has been my reactions. And
Yeah.
I realize everyone has fear of different, but I never have. Different to me is the toy that the brothers aren't playing with, so I can go figure it out before they get there. Like different's great. It's exciting. It's something new. So I hope that more people more look on to the next instead of
Yeah.
what they got and trying to protect it and lock the door. Because I promise what you got inside that fence isn't worth as much as helping somebody that needs it when they're just outside the gate.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you had as a child, this it's almost like survival mentality, but not so much of like I'm gonna fight you for it, but learning how to kind of you were you showed everybody and you were that brother to say it's going to be okay. And even as a little brother, I seen it with you,
Yeah.
and you kind of were that stability because you seen it with your family. I mean, because you're such a beautiful family, man.
Thank
I mean, and where you came from, it's kind of reminds me, and that's kind of why I think we're connected because there wasn't always that, we didn't feel like money wasn't a consumption of our life. It was just we're gonna do what we love, and whatever happens and what the world brings back to us, we're gonna bring back to the world. And I pray daily. Like same thing. I pray daily for you and now your wife. I mean,
Mm.
it's so good to see you guys. We connect, in on online, and
Mhm,
I love the digital world that we have now because we're able to connect in that way.
mhm.
But I always feel connected because through my prayers, like you said, and what for guys like you, because I mean, man, your heart was so big back then, and I know it's carried through past your success of American Idol and where you've pivoted to where you are now through the Broadway. And I kind of want you to talk about what you're doing because right now um, you're being I guess a stability for a lot of people now in the theater world,
I am.
doing what you're doing.
I finally found something that didn't make me, do a pre-show bathroom trip. It's different when it's your art, you're antsy to get it out. When it's
Hmm.
someone else's art, you're trying to make sure you do it justice. So the
Yeah.
criticism for someone else's art isn't your criticism. That's before any show opens, I go to the director and I say, "Have I taken all the notes that you've asked? Have I incorporated everything that you asked? Is there anything else that you'd like to incorporate before we set the show?" And they always say, "No, everything's great. Just keep it in that realm and we're good." And then I say, "This is your vision. I'm not going to read any critiques. That's all for you to grow for your experience." And then they're like, "Understood." So if it's my art, I care. If it's your art, I care about being the guy you need me to be.
Hmm.
So it's kind of that's kind of the soldier mentality. But you had that soldier mentality too growing up because there's survival. But as kids, we wanted to look for the fun in the places that seemed unsafe. We wanted to bring the music to that alleyway that wasn't quite comfortable. We wanted to bring the good there. And I felt bad actually meeting a lot of the people I met once I started getting into the productions that had a lot of people that grew up with a lot of money and not a lot of life experience,
Hmm.
because I would say things and my street vibes weren't transferring. So then I would actually have to like try to find a way to either give them a life experience that allowed them to enjoy something that wasn't status, because their comfort is status.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with who they are. It has to do with what their parents are, but not them. And it if I could just get them there, then we could get to the play. We have a stick, there's a ball, we're playing baseball, play.
Yep.
And you and I grew up with that always. So we got lucky. But there's a lot of people that'll go their entire lives, and if you believe in reincarnation, they're coming back because they missed
Yeah.
a lot.
Hmm.
And anybody that thinks selfishly, they're all coming back. If you're a
Yeah.
billionaire and you're uncomfortable in your own portal and you think that money is what's going to make you better than all of us, my man, you're coming back
Yeah.
because you lost it.
Call it what you may, but yeah, and that's one good thing I mean that's one thing that's great about you, and that I've actually carried throughout my life is because that moment when you were talking earlier when that kid, you seen that judgment of you punching that ticket,
Mhm.
you always put, because of moments like that, you're like, I don't want somebody else to feel that way if I'm like the way that kid made me feel at that moment.
Right? If it
And
was somebody else.
yeah, you were always putting yourself in the other shoes. And that's what you're doing right now. It's like you're putting yourself in those other people's in the theater world's shoes. And I've done what you guys are doing, and I want you guys to be the best at what you're
Mm.
doing. And
Well,
you're
what we get to do right now is pretty cool. So Diana, we asked the universe for an opportunity to have a job in Nashville. Let us have a
yeah,
job in the place that we did the tour of Joseph to buy the house that we're at. Like, let us finish painting it and be here for a little bit.
yeah,
So we asked the universe for it, and we got the house. Joseph paid for it. We love it. We're grateful. But in all of this, we need to look at what we're here for.
yeah,
What are you here for? Not what does your wife think you're here for? What are
yeah,
you here for? Like, you to you, not having to take care of anybody else. What are you here for? And if you can if you can say it's what everybody expects, and it is, you're in perfect alignment.
Yeah,
And I feel
and
that most people haven't found that on the inside.
yeah.
And
So
that's what we get when we meet them, because you and I will get them to mirror us, and then they will just open and they'll let
yeah.
us know everything,
So
because
I
they see you as the next chapter. You can get them there.
yeah. So I just recently retired from my corporate job
Congratulations.
because of that reason, because I'm like, I believe like God had something bigger planned for me, and from carrying it from what we did as music, and the same objective is carried out from music to what I'm doing now. You
Mhm.
know, you want to make a difference with people. I want somebody to even take this and know that beyond what they feel like, oh, this is what I meant to be. And there's like other American Idols who have seen, and they're like, well, my objective is to be Mick Jagger. nobody,
Right.
nobody else. But it's like, yeah, God, that's not the intentions. Like, this is just a vessel right now. American Idol was just a vessel for you,
Oh, yeah.
and you took that, and you're like, well, where do I take it? And
Well, so
the
what you were saying with the album, here's how I looked at the album. I had those pre-bought albums ready to go at Target and Walmart, right? So that
yeah,
2-week turnaround, they went from 150,000 units to 10,000.
mm,
So across the country, every CD store had 3 hard copy albums with lines of people outside. I did a radio tour for a year and a half. I had a band that I was paying 10 grand a week. It was basically the Eagles backup band. They were incredible. And we were doing a radio tour. And I got a call we just did this performance for 80,000 people. And I'm thinking I'm finally getting some steam on the album. Maybe we're going to
mhm,
finally do a reprint, because those 10,000 were gone in 3 minutes.
yeah,
So I sold out. Yay. But at the same point, I hit this moment where I thought it finally had steam. And on my insides, I was like, okay, so now I can just focus on my music, what I want to say, my statements, my visuals that I want to portray. But right when I walked off stage, I got a call. And the call was, it's costing too much to run the band. And all the radio stations are playing you 3 weeks to your arrival and then stopping. So every single place you're going, you're getting spins. And then since you're not the radio record label paying for the placement, you're gone. So we're not
mm,
going to be able to keep you in the charts. And I instantly heard this call. And I said, okay, so what do I do? We just got a call from Greece and Broadway, and they want you to be Danny Zuko. And I said, no. And they went, I don't seem to understand. I was like, I just got off a stage with 80,000 people singing songs with me and emotionally going with me, where I wasn't trying to get them to do anything. I was just trying to rise the room and get them going. No, like I want a bigger challenge than being a nice guy in a
yeah,
musical where I sing like one song. Let me play Kaniki.
mm,
What? I was like, he's an asshole. Let me at least be the asshole. Everybody knows I'm nice. Let me play an asshole. And they were like,
yeah,
what? Hold on. So now they're thinking, they first thought I didn't want to do the show at all. And then they're thinking, wait, you want to do the show? You just want to pick your part. And I said, yeah, so we're going to fly you out tomorrow. So from that place where I did that show, I flew my band to LA. I flew to New York. In my heart, I feel like I'm an unsuccessful artist that sold out all his physical copies and no one will support me. I show up in New York City. There used to be a CD store in Times Square.
mhm,
It's no longer there. And I go in and I audition. I did the dance call, which I'd never done before. But you knew I was trying to do as much physicality stuff when we were younger, just to make sure that my body could do whatever was thrown at me. So I
I
go in to
know,
do,
yeah,
I
as
do the dance
usual,
call, and in 20 minutes, they pull me out and they're like, you're good. I was like, is that good? They're like, you just did the whole Grease Lightning number in 20 minutes. I was like, okay. So did I get connected? They went, let's just say this. It'll be the first time Kaniki's ever had a billboard in Times Square.
mm,
So would always be Danny, right? So Kanicki has the billboard, 47th. I look out to the right and there's 4 albums at the CD store. One of them's mine. I go into the CD store down the escalators. They have 2 physical copies. And that's it. But I'm one of the 4 on the big thing outside, right? So as a what would feel like a failed artist, I'm at the height of my visual career, and I'm now in a play for 6 months with people from all over the world coming to see me play Kanicki and jump around and beat up a car. It was incredibly challenging, amazing for me to grow as a development for myself, an amazing ensemble of people that I'm forever friends with.
Yeah.
And it was so strange at the same point, knowing that out of all of that support for the music side, being right next to the support for the musical theater side in Times Square, this one's dying.
Yeah.
And I had to let it go. That was hard, but it paid me back. I don't have any CDs at my house piled up because they're all gone. Like they just didn't order more. So I did all these things, and I looked at it and I had to ask myself why, because I've been programming myself to be this portal of what we're feeling as a species, and to be able to just emote everything that we're feeling and try to rise us up to a better place. What's my platform?
Yeah, because at that time it's at the pinnacle of this is who I am. Like everybody welcome Ace Young, you know?
Yeah. And there I am, Macy's Day Parade, opening up, licking a car as Kanicki. And it was an amazing experience, but it was so different than what I had planned. So I say now, don't plan.
Yeah.
Don't plan 2 weeks from now. Don't plan 3 weeks from now. You have objectives that you're going to do regardless with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to build the deck. You're going to get the things you need. You're going to get the new tires and the new brake pads. That's not a plan. That's maintenance. That's life comfort. But don't plan the things that are supposed to inspire you.
Yeah.
I have been in so many rooms going in where I should have been in such a better place. I should have been in such a more optimistic place. And I went in thinking, man, I just got to get through this thing and then I can start my day. But that thing woke me up. And that thing could have been the thing that inspired 30 people that just want to live one more day at a hospital.
Yeah.
That thing charged me for the year. So, and in the morning, I didn't want to get up and get my coffee out of bed. What's wrong with me? So I really am more looking at things like, if you dive in, close your eyes, see how your body feels, see if there's any tension, where the tension is, and do something today movement wise to get rid of it. Just 5 minutes, walk around crawl like a cat, and get those shoulders to move, get the hips to move, get the head to move.
You got plenty of, I know you got plenty of those to show you how to do it, right?
Totally. I do it every day, all day long. And we got 4 cats upstairs with a foster dog. But that's it. Like finding the playful mobility of your childhood keeps your body young. So you're not in a prison of your body in pain, trying to be inspired and creative, shuffling people for what you think they're worth. Because that's not a way to live. Everyone is priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. And I truly believe, like I say, the successes have come by way of you just being Ace. The Ace that I met, the guy who would give the shirt off his back to, I mean, you have such a big heart, man. And I know that the successes you have right now, sometimes it's just being the great husband you are, being a foster to the people around you too, because there's sometimes when people that you meet on the streets, like you said, you were having the hard time waking up, but you got up and performed what you were doing, and you just lighten somebody else to help them get to their next,
Most definitely. And that's the thing. Like I feel like as we get trapped in our own worries and our concerns and our shames and our opinions, we have to really decipher if they're ours.
Yeah.
Because facts, you don't have to remember a fact. It is. Like, you don't have to remember it. You can look it up. It will be the same until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I don't even need to claim words. I try to speak beyond words because words are already not enough for what we're really going through and what we're feeling and processing. Sometimes a hug will get through any language. Music has always gotten me through. And personally, right now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing with my wife. She runs a company with. She's helping run a theater company for kids here in Nashville, and it works
Wow.
for kids ages 8 to 18. Doesn't matter what their upbringing is; it's free. If you get in and you audition and you get the part, you're in the show. And we're doing 6 shows a year in very big facilities, doing full-on musicals with moving stage pieces. I'm
Mm.
having a ball making them. I've been a contractor builder my whole life. So to be able to make things that are safe for kids and adults to be creative around and actually go to playland, that's a dream for me because I've done so many shows where I'm walking backstage and I'm like, oh, watch out for that. Oh, watch out for that. There's a nail there. Like
Yeah.
scary things. So I'm having a blast, but it's not it's not getting me my voice back. I feel like right now I'm staying close to the inspiration of others and helping where I can because I truthfully don't know what to sing for. I
Yeah.
don't know what matters enough to sing for that wouldn't be on deaf ears. Because I feel like I've done so many like chants and bellowing cries to
Yeah.
our masses. And I feel like it's just it hasn't hit. And there's a reason why it isn't connecting. And it has nothing to do with me to them. It has to do with me to me. If I'm trying to say something because we need to hear it, it's never going to hit.
Yeah.
I'm staying around the inspiration so that I can find my voice again. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever found it.
Yeah. And you know what? I truly believe throughout even throughout you doing theater, I mean, you have kind of molded it around the parts you have been given.
Mhm.
And
And
I
in
know
musical theater, you got to copy them.
yeah, and I know that it in sense like you're saying, man, this is not my voice, this is not what I carry. But the amazing part is like your voice and what gravitated me to you. And I
Mhm.
want to just give you a props, and I don't know if this is going to make you feel better about what you bring as far as your voice, because when I met you, what I heard in your voice is you're giving reason out there. You're giving purpose when you're conveying your voice, because there's a lot of people who could sing a song,
Mhm.
but when a person sings a song and gives that representation of what each each note in the melody means, I mean, I think that's a big reason why what you did on It's Not Over
Mhm.
hit so hard, because you brought so much purpose and meaning behind the melody and everything that was to that song. And I
I
believe
heard
you
the
done.
roar. I
Yeah,
heard the
and I
roar. Chris was going through this moment where he was afraid that it was gonna be the end of his career because 'cause he's been singing cover songs. And
mhm,
I just heard the roar and I was like, "Bro, let's program them. It's not
mhm,
over. Tell them, like, start." And it was strange, but again, not for me. It was me outside of his bubble. And then once he saw that the words ahead of him with the support he had were his superpower. Because
yeah,
now his words with that support, they become true.
yeah, and I know that he was, I know when I heard that song, I'm like, "Man, that is such." I I vividly remember a lot of the melodies you carried through when we were working together, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Man, that is such ace right there," and I loved it so much, and I was so proud to, see you do it, because it was like, man. And I just want you to feel like I know that your voice, and I know there's periods in this time where you're kind of like, "Okay, I'm doing right now," because what you're doing right now is great, and there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of kids who they're benefiting from the work that you're putting in. I mean, you're getting your hands dirty, you're doing the work, and
They're
you
out they're inspiring the locals here more than
yeah,
I could because they
yeah.
come and they're like,
Well,
flattened.
you're a part of that inspiration, man. I
Mhm.
and that's the thing is, like, I know from back back then, I mean, you're getting off of construction jobs, coming to do recordings with me, like literally that day,
And then
coming to
running
do.
JBL speakers to the rec center for the weekend.
But
Getting it.
but and you've never been afraid to, and that's what's carried you, and that's what's going to carry you on to your like next success throughout life. And I believe what you've put out is what this world is going to give back to you. I believe I believe God honors people like you who have put things in the world that you have, and for you to receive back. And I honestly believe that. And
Whatever is given, I will use. So if it gives
yeah,
me more support to my own voice, then I will definitely make sure that it's heard for sure.
man. And trust me, man, it's a beautiful voice, and that's what I mean, initially that's what gravitated me towards you. But you as Ace, who you are, man, I mean, that's why I was so happy when you said, "Yeah, I want to join on the podcast," because I'm
Hell
like,
yeah. I just
this
wanted to
dude,
see you and make you have to look at me for an hour. I haven't seen you in forever. You look great.
yeah, man, so do you, man. And I
And
love,
rocking the Colorado. I knew I'd see some
I
Colorado swag.
I did it for you. 'Cause this is
Yes.
your hometown right here. So
Yes. I have
yeah,
so many memories of CU, man. It's like
yeah,
it's in my blood.
yeah.
And the
It's cool
support
to,
that you gave me while I was in Colorado is forever with me. And if
yeah,
people don't give me that, I don't think they respect me or respect the openness of art. So
yeah,
I literally say, let's pencil that in the future, and we'll see if they
yeah,
call you
man.
back.
Well, I'm telling you what, man. I wanna invite to get out to where you guys are, to you and Diana, and actually see one of these shows, and be
Yeah,
a, and I'd love to get my hands dirty with you and do some
that'd
of
be
this stuff.
amazing.
Man, I'd love to do it because
Well,
we're not too far away, man.
bring out your stuff.
I'm just
Bring
right
out your
down here.
computer. I have a studio room. We can jam. We can do
Yeah,
anything you want, or just
who
smoke
knows?
cigars out by the fire pit.
Yeah, yeah, man. Who knows? We might write the next great song, you know?
Oh, every song will be great.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, Ace, man, I appreciate this and everything you've done. I truly, you've been a part of my on to the next, and I appreciate that, man.
Hey, well, you're on to the now. You've been on to the next, but you're always in the now. So I love you,
Yeah,
Vince,
man.
man. Keep kicking ass and let me know when we get to hang again.
Yeah, man. Thank you, everybody. Thanks,
And
Ace.
if we missed anything, if they want to hit up with questions, hit you up and we'll do it again, just answering their questions.
That's right. Maybe in person, me and you in the studio
There you
doing
go.
doing a
Or we'll get
live.
hot chicken. We'll see if we can get through the questions before we sweat it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
I
man.
love it. Awesome, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
My love to your family.
Yeah.
Play, 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 play.